Hi, it's Matt from Modern Homestead's YouTube channel, and today I'm going to show you how to build these nesting boxes out of one sheet of plywood or one sheet of aspenite. Let's get it done. These nesting boxes are super easy to build, chickens love them, and they should last you a long, long time. Before I begin, I want to apologize if the audio is bad. It's pretty windy outside. So the tools I've got pulled out is a level for a straight edge. I've got a drill. I've got a circular saw. I have a jigsaw, which I probably won't need. Measuring tape, square drill bit, a drill bit to pre-drill my holes, some Narrow Crown staples, a Narrow Crown stapler, which I may not need, and a bit of wood glue. And of course, let's not forget the 4x8 sheet of plywood. Mine's 1/2 inch. You could probably get away with just the circular saw, the straight edge, a drill, and some screws, and you could probably do this fairly easily. All right, so I've got my sheet of plywood marked off. The first one is 42 by 17 1/4. Then we've got 42 by 14, 42 by 28, and then there's a 42 by 4. And then these shaped ones here are 28 on the high side, 18 on the front side, and 14 wide. If you couldn't make that out, it should look like this on your sheet of plywood. The pieces with the X's are going to be the leftovers. I'm also going to set the sheet on this picnic table behind me. It's just going to make it that much easier to cut if you had a set of sawhorses or whatever else elevated off the ground. Actually, it's kind of windy, and I think if I put it on the picnic table, it's going to fly away. So I'm going to use these nice 6x6 out of cedar I have back here just to prop it up a little bit. And those cedar posts are actually going behind the garage, and I'll show you that another day. All right, so I've got all our pieces pre-cut. Very minimal scraps, might I add. So just to go over it, you should have 42 by 14, 42 by 14 1/4, 4 pieces that are relatively the same size, 42 by 4 and 42 by 28. For angled pieces, it won't really matter much if they're off by a little bit. Remember, this is for a chicken coop. It does not have to be perfect. And the only tool I used to cut this was the circular saw. You could pretty much use any saw that you have at your disposal. You might get a little tired after a handsaw though, but you could still do it. All right, so now the next step is basically just to assemble this thing. Now, I'm probably going to use a combination of wood glue and Narrow Crown staples, which are these things right here. But you could probably use some screws, which I may end up throwing a few in there anyways, but I would recommend you pre-drill your holes just because you are drilling into 1/2 inch plywood and you wouldn't really want it to split because then it would lose its strength. So the first 3 pieces I'm going to attach together are 2 sides and the bottom, and I'm going to attach the sides on top of the bottom. Never mind, looks like my glue probably froze at some point, so let's just use Narrow Crown staples. All right, so now that we've got that fastened like this, we're just gonna flip it over and we're gonna put the back on it to give it some strength. The back is 42 by 28. It just goes on, covers the entire thing. Yes, there's going to be a little gap here. It's not a big deal. It's good for ventilation. Remember, it's for a chicken coop. They don't care. All right, so there we go. We've got the back attached to it. Now we've got some strength and it's not gonna fall apart on us. So for the next step, we're gonna attach the front lip here, just to the bottom of the box. So now the next thing you're gonna wanna do is attach those internal dividers. And then the only thing left to do is put the roof on and fasten it in the chicken coop and wait for eggs. So let's get those dividers installed. Can't seem to find my measuring tape. We got it. So your dividers end up going on like 14s on centers, so just measure from the end here and put yourself a mark at 14. Put yourself a mark at 28. And then just do the same thing at the top. Remember, it's for chickens. They don't care what it looks like. Just gonna do the same thing at the back over here and get one at the very bottom corner, and that's all it's gonna need because chickens aren't going to be pushing onto the internal dividers at all. So anything over this is just overkill. All right, make sure we didn't shoot through and we actually got it into the wood. Good, see, that's not moving. Once we put the top on there and we staple, it ain't going anywhere. Speaking of top, let's get the top out from underneath us. Put this back over here so we can get an elevated view. All right, so those dividers are fastened, they're secured, they're not going anywhere, and the only thing left to do now is to put on this top right here. Just line up one side, and then line up the other side, and that's it. Throw one up here, another one right here, and if you remember there's a gap back here so we can see the top, so we'll throw one in here too. And there you have it, a very easy, very inexpensive way to make nesting boxes for up to 12 chickens. You could significantly decrease the cost of this nesting box if you used OSB. My other two nesting boxes, identical to this in the chicken coop, are made out of OSB, and they're still just as good as the day I put them in there. Chicken coops don't really get wet, so it should still last a very long time. I made it out of plywood this time, simply because I had a sheet of plywood. If I didn't, I would have went out and bought a sheet of OSB. As far as tools go, I only used a circular saw and the narrow crown stapler, although if you don't have a narrow crown stapler, screws would have worked just as good. Well, we might as well take it out to the chicken coop and install it. Are you guys excited? You're getting a new nesting box. The vines are starting to grow into my chicken coop again, which gives my chickens some really nice shade out in their chicken run. All right, so I've got the nesting box moved into the coop, and obviously we're not gonna leave it on the ground here, but my plan is to give it to the IM Samanis and get rid of the last 3 milk crate nesting boxes that I have, but one of them is broody and I really don't feel like disturbing her. So I'm just gonna mount it right here temporarily. This is not going to be very hard. I'm just going to use 4 1 1/4 inch screws and my drill here. I'm going to line up the top of it to the top there, and that'll be it temporarily till she hatches out whatever she's sitting on. If you had someone else to give you a hand, this is probably the only place you're going to need someone. Or you can just attempt to do it yourself, I guess. Try and put it more or less level. And there you go. Nesting box is mounted. That's not going anywhere. Put a bit of wood shavings or some nesting pads. I just use wood shavings and replace it every other week. But yeah, this is super simple. I think I built this, I mean, realistically, I think this took about an hour to do. And probably could have done it slightly faster too, but like I said, if you wanted to make this a little bit less expensive, go out and get yourself a sheet of OSB. It will be roughly, you know, 1/3 the price of this sheet of plywood, maybe less. Yeah, either or will work, and your chickens will absolutely love them, and they will thank you with a bunch of eggs. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.